itself needs to invest in. So we are looking at specifically for those projects, what would it take to remove the barriers so that we flood in investments to them? We're not talking about macro reforms that will take a long time. That's significant complexities, but project-specific constraints, quick wins. But thirdly, and I'll let you say, thirdly is really about shaping markets, because if we develop our carbon markets, we estimate that by 2050, over $100 billion per year can happen in Africa. That will take some time, but I think in terms of sustainable financing, that is what makes it quite hopeful for the numbers to potentially add up. But we understand the significant challenges, and that's why I want to listen today to achieve that.
But I just wanted to chip in the case about the regulatory bottlenecks. You know, you kept on talking about the carbon flaring. We know that this has a gas flaring project, a commercialization project. This has been on for a while, but we've not been able to hit, you know, terra firma as regards this because, as we both know, the regulatory bottlenecks, even the policy somersaults. All right, the tactical policy somersault. A clear case is the Ministry, you know, Petroleum Resources talking about at some point the institution of CNG gas to be used in cars and the like, you know, which we thought it was a cleaner version of fuel and all of that. But where's the policy today? So how do you straddle through those bottlenecks?
Nigerians, if you're looking for a new income stream or you want to augment what you currently make right now, CPA marketing is the way. And this affiliates and
So I think the devil is always in the detail when it comes to policy, right? And we are under the impression that, one, having a detailed energy transition plan that just provides the longer term framework to achieve what we want to do in electric vehicles. So in fact, to speak to EV, we have two options. On the one hand, leverage our natural gas, right? And use CNG, good. And that way, but automobiles are typically in this context, second-hand, right? Second-hand markets in a sense. And so there is that risk of stranded capacity, if you like, right? In terms of where the world is going. Or on the other hand, we can go directly to electric vehicles, right? So what we have spent a lot of time doing is that means streaming or alignment between the NDC on the one hand and the energy transition plan, right? And because the Vice President, even the private sector associations, there's some consensus around, okay, what would it take for government to achieve some of this e-mobility? And that has taken a lot more time than I would have thought. We spent what energy transition plan towards the policy guidance and directives needed in the Ministry of Environment and Transportation to make some of these things relatively more irreversible and address some of the policy inconsistencies. Because we recognize that, yes, we have seen that happen. And for the gas flare,
okay, thank you so much. I think,
today at 12:30.
12:30.
Yes, Nordic Hotel. So
I think
you're all invited.
Yeah,
But
and our stick was open to anyone.
Because of how brief time is. I think later on we'll continue with the video. But I just want us to take a moment.
No, it's just by invitation.
So
I would like for us to take a moment or two to reflect on the last 2 days. Thank you so much, Dial team. You've been so very helpful with the technicalities of our virtual engagements. Thank you. So today is day 3. We had a great time day 1. We had a wonderful time day 2. A lot was said. We had speakers, and then we had some of you who gave some wonderful, incredible contributions. Yesterday, Olumide shared on climate finance. Gave some very key insights into that. And then we also heard from Sultan from Turkey, who talked about the energy transition plan in Turkey and how they've progressed over the years and how the significant progress they've made, and compared that with Nigeria. And we're able to draw from that to lend texture to whatever ideas we have regarding Nigeria's energy transition plan. And we also listened to Daniel, Iwuchukwu speak on sustainable homes. The topics were quite engaging and very stimulating. So we're going to take moments of reflection. One of our speakers, I think for the last session, Dr. Sergi. Dr. Sergi is currently in a forest in Ecuador. So he was thinking that it would be that maybe by this time of the week he would be out of that research work. But currently, Dr. Sergi is in a forest in Ecuador. He's not a bushman, he's a researcher. He's an environmental scientist, and he went to Ecuador to take up some research work on sustainability. So he would be unable to join us, even though we're trying to go back and forth with that. So that leaves us with enough time today to explore on all that we've talked about and all that we have been able to unpack in the last 1 to 3 days. And so before we have our first session for today, I would like for us to share our thoughts. What has the engagement been like? Yesterday, like several of you had so much to say. We had to say, okay, I had to say, okay, I think today I'm going to give enough time for us to speak. So what are your thoughts? For some of you, maybe this is your first time of hearing that Nigeria has an energy transition plan. But I also know that most of you, from the report from the survey, most of you already have background in energy. And then some of you are in politics, some of you are in civil society, some of you are social entrepreneurs. And we've been able to hear a lot of you. The insight has been amazing. And for me, what is this 3-day event all about? I think for me, one of the things I wanted to accomplish was just to map individuals that are doing incredible work in the energy sector, particularly looking to drive the adoption and expansion of renewable energy. And I wanted individuals who could, with the collaboration of political leaders, make things happen, because we're looking to draw support from international funders and grantors who are looking to support projects like this. And we are looking to say, okay, let's map out some key individuals that would serve as a think tank to drive this, to support political leaders. If a major event was to be held in this part of the country that has a lot to do with renewable energy, the major event was to be held, who are we going to fall on, to help increase awareness or educate more key players in this area? Who are we going to pick to be able to help drive that? And in the course of these 3 days, I think we've been able to accomplish that. And I'm glad that a few of the political leaders that have joined this session have shown keen interest, are working towards it. Not only are they showing keen interest, but they are working towards the energy transition plan and are looking to expand their capacity in that regard. And so I'm going to open the floor. What are your thoughts? I know there are some of us that are yet to join the call. Some persons told me they've been having issues with network. But I hope that before we begin the next session, we'll have many of our colleagues join. But I'm throwing this to us. What are your thoughts? If you have something to say, you could use the lift of hand emoji, and I will gladly give you the floor to speak and share your thoughts. Today that I have enough time to give out, it's like our people are not ready yet. But days when the time is just like, that is when everyone is struggling. So, oh, please, could you give me time? Yeah, today is the last day. It's a period of reflection. We're going to have a segment in today's session that I tagged, "What is mine to do?" What is mine to do? And I tagged it that because in all of this conversation, we call it critical conversation. In all of this conversation, the bottom line is, what is my responsibility? What can I do to support this energy transition plan? What can I do in the area of climate entrepreneurship to drive economic development, not just for myself, but for my community? So we are going to look at that. We're going to really explore that deeply. Yeah. But that's it anyway. So I am always very particular about time. I don't want to take time. We have Mr. Patrick Ndifon, who is here with us. I'm glad that these sessions are being recorded because we send these videos to the necessary quarters we need to send it to, to see, hey, we're having this conversation, and here is what the support we want. I'm also glad that in the course of the program, the last 2 days, we've had them come around to see what we are doing, and I'm glad. I'm also glad about the feedback. So I'm going to introduce our next speaker. He's Mr. Patrick Ndifon. So Mr. Patrick Ndifon is an innovative leader, strategic ecosystem builder, and seasoned product manager dedicated to activating innovation in Africa's secondary cities and transforming the continent's workforce through technology-driven solutions and sustainable development policies. Leveraging deep entrepreneurial expertise across EdTech, SaaS, AI, and both B2B and B2C markets, Patrick seamlessly blends strategic vision with practical execution to scale impactful projects, including renewable energy and climate resilience initiatives that drive lasting change. With a BSc in computer science and an executive MBA from Quantic School of Business and Technology, Patrick has effectively bridged technology, entrepreneurship, and policy initiatives, catalyzing progress in renewable energy, climate resilience, and sustainable agriculture strategies. At NGO Coalition for Environment, GOSE, he developed digital platforms and trained over 1,000 community members, directly contributing to the advancement of climate and renewable energy policies. At the Green Money Initiative and Farm Monitor Africa, Patrick spearheaded data-driven projects and AI-powered tools that benefited over 10,000 smallholder farmers, shaping agricultural programs aimed at youth empowerment and economic resilience. As managing director of Cali Valley, Patrick empowers MSME and young entrepreneurs to access substantial export markets, actively engaging government stakeholders to align economic growth initiatives and sustainable goals. His leadership strategically positions Cross River State and other secondary cities to thrive within frameworks like the African Continental Free Trade Area. As founder of Hack 51 Africa, Patrick bridges the education to employment gap through an innovative AI-driven career acceleration platform. By hosting climate-focused challenges, he cultivates a skilled talent pipeline equipped to advance Africa's renewable energy goals and sustainable agenda. Patrick's commitment to fostering practical employer-aligned skills positions Hack 51 Africa as a key catalyst in nurturing the next generation of innovators driving the continent's green economy forward. Currently serving as State Ecosystem Coordinator and Community Manager for 3MTT Nigeria, Patrick collaborates closely with government stakeholders and public sector partners to focus technical talent, stimulate local innovation, and strategically align policies that accelerate Nigeria's sustainable economic growth. Patrick's approach integrates innovation ecosystems with human capital development, directly supporting inclusive objectives such as renewable energy expansion and climate resilience. By bridging technology, entrepreneurship, and strategic policy influence, he drives comprehensive sustainable development while fostering economic resilience across Nigeria and Africa's secondary cities. His visionary leadership continues to unlock new opportunities for innovation, growth, and long-term impact in emerging markets. So I would like for us to put hands together as we welcome Mr. Patrick Ndifon. Thank you so much, Mr. Patrick. The floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chibuzo. I don't know if anyone, okay. Can everyone see me?
Yeah, we can see you.
All right, let me just share my slides. So while I do that, I'd like to say that the conversations in the past few days have been very, very exciting, very informative, and eye-opening. Although I couldn't be around yesterday, but I was around for the first day, and I really did benefit a lot. I want to say a very big thank you to you, Mr. Chibuzo, for putting all of this together. Considering the energy state in the country, this is very, very much needed. Can everyone see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Fantastic. All right. So my name is Patrick Ndifon, as was introduced. Really excited to share how the Nigerian energy landscape, offers us not only a solution to energy challenges, but also provides a thriving space for entrepreneurial innovation. Innovation is something I'm very much passionate about, and as an avid user and creator of technology myself, I strongly believe that technology and innovation are the things that are going to transform our economy. So I run a startup called Hack 51, and it's an edtech. What we do is we empower young professionals with the skills that they need to thrive in the current job market, and thrive in different industry sectors. And one of those sectors is, smart, scalable, renewable energy solutions. And so how we do this at Hack 51 is that we create real world challenges for our users to solve. That way we are building a very sophisticated and robust talent pipeline. So when it comes to the renewable energy space, we create climate and renewable energy challenges so that participants, users, anybody interested in climate energy or people already existing in that space can develop real world experience. That way, we are building a talent pipeline that can actually innovate around the renewable energy sector. So not just, but people that can actually build stuff. So yeah, and by bridging that gap between education and practical execution, we ensure that as Nigeria is transitioning, is going through this energy transition, right? It's not just about policy, but there's also a realistic capacity for Nigerians to be able to contribute to that transition as well. So today, what we're looking at, we'll just be looking at some opportunities, from things like solar microgrids and biomass solutions and all of that. And we'll look at how each opportunity can contribute to economic growth. All right. So whether you're an aspiring entrepreneur, an investor, policy maker, right? I'm hoping that this session will probably give some insight, into how we can leverage Nigeria's energy transition for impactful and scalable business ventures. All right. So let's dive in. So the first thing is that, as a country, we're at the crossroads in terms of our energy future. And as you can see, about 200 million people, yet electricity access is below 60%. I think the exact number is around 59.5. This is based on Alliance for Rural Electrification reports, right? So that's a serious energy crisis. So if you do the math, 200 million plus 60 less, below 60%, we're looking at around 60 million people, okay, who don't have, about 40 million people who don't have access to electricity. That's a lot, you know. And then secondly, there's also a demand for reliable power. So that continues to rise as well. However, we live in a country with very vast natural resources, abundant natural resources. We have, you know, relentless sunshine. We have steady flow of rivers, you know, vast potential of agricultural waste. All of these position us to be able to reimagine our energy landscape. And I want you to imagine a future where small businesses are powered by solar microgrids or agricultural byproducts, fuel bioenergy solutions. You know, that is a future that is not so it's not far off for us in Nigeria, but it's already taking shape. And these are opportunities that a lot of Nigerian entrepreneurs are jumping on, you know, leveraging innovation to turn the abundant resources that we have, you know, into scalable, sustainable energy solutions, you know. So despite all of these challenges, we have a unique opportunity as a country to lead in renewable energy. All right. And for us to get there, the right policies, the right financing, the right business models, you know, all of these things are required. And that takes me to the current policy that is being implemented, which is the Nigerian Energy Renewable Master Plan. All right. So at the very core of these are transition to the green economy is this master plan, and it was launched in 2022, and so many of us are aware. The target is that we want to increase the renewable energy share of the total electricity generation from 13% and to 23%. We're in 2025 already, so we would. I think there's still some evaluation and assessment that needs to be done to really know if we've been able to achieve that. And then by 2030, we're hoping that total energy generation will be at 36%. So, I mean, this plan is a policy, yes, but I like to think of it as a roadmap for the kinds of investments that we need to make and the kinds of innovation that we need to consider. All right. And some of the things that this plan has put into place is there are fiscal incentives, okay, to encourage private sector participation. So the plan has put into place fiscal incentives, import duty waivers, tax credits, and all of that. So the whole idea is to make renewable energy technologies more accessible to people. And this is very important, particularly in, you know, semi-urban and rural areas where the grid connectivity is still below 30%. So particularly in Nigeria, right, the urban areas benefit more than the rural areas, and you know, that cannot continue to be because particularly when it comes to sectors like agriculture and the likes, right, the rural areas is where we get the bulk of the productivity in that sector, and so it's very important that they also have access to renewable energy. Now, complementing this renewable energy, you know, plan, we have investment vehicles like the Renewables Investment Platform for Limitless Energy. This is a $500 million initiative I think it's launched by the Nigerian Sovereign Investment Authority. It was launched in 2023. It's called Ripple. So the whole idea is to de-risk investments and you know, speed up public and private partnerships, you know, in grid scale solar and hybrid energy projects, you know, provide the capital needed and the institutional support for entrepreneurs. So that's something that climate entrepreneurs and innovators need to take advantage of. So there's vast opportunity within the renewable energy master plan. And as entrepreneurs, this is something that we need to key in. We need to key in. We need to take advantage of this policy framework and the incentives and the benefits that it offers to ensure that this green transition is a huge success. So the policy foundation is in place, and now we need to now explore, the specific opportunities that entrepreneurs can take advantage of. All right. So we've talked about there's a clear policy backing with it, with financial initiatives. I mean, what's left in that particular formula is, eager entrepreneurs. Very, very important. Without eager entrepreneurs, the policy would just be there and it would grow. It would develop cobwebs. When you don't use something, no matter how valuable it is, cobwebs, or it just deteriorates. Its value loses, diminishes rather. So eager entrepreneurs are very needed if we want to ensure that the renewable energy potential, does indeed succeed. So we're going to start with solar grids. So I think Nigeria is a very rich location. I think we have about 4 to 6 kilowatts of sunlight daily. So solar power is a prime candidate for addressing the country's energy deficit. Recently, it's been so hot, but instead of complaining about the weather, I think entrepreneurs should think about innovative ways of how they can use that heat and sunlight to, power our economy. So there are two models that are particularly promising, all right, within the microgrids and pay-as-you-go models, which we'll talk about later. We also have biomass and waste to energy. We also have small hydropower and wind energy. So some of the key growth areas, and these areas are more in alignment with the natural resources that we have within our country. So let's dive into solar energy. We get about 4 to 6 kilowatts of energy. That's a very huge potential, right? Sunlight is a huge potential for us to take advantage of. And startups can, deploy rooftop and community-based microgrids, that help small businesses and even communities, offering them clean, reliable power without the need for the high infrastructure costs. So these microgrid systems is something that work, and I've seen companies that have started working on some of these things. We also understand that financing some of these systems, particularly from the customer end, can be a challenge. So a simple model as the pay-as-you-go, which reduces that upfront capital barrier that customers have to surmount, right? So customers can access these grids on a pay-per-use basis, right? So you don't have to pay upfront, but you just you can structure your payments into, okay, if you use 2 hours of power every week or 10 hours every week, whatever the case is, your payments are structured within that particular usage. So I mean, one of the ways, or one of the innovations around this is that's currently on is by a company called ICE Commercial Power. What they have done in contribution to their microgrid system, they provide smart meters for businesses to track their power usage, and battery storage and all of that, just so that they can fully maximize their power consumption and only pay specifically for what they use. Many entrepreneurs can also adopt these kinds of technologies, kinds of models, and create businesses around them, particularly in places like Cross River State. All right. So with the renewable energy plan, we obviously know that cost of acquiring the equipment required, these things are going to drop significantly. So actually what is needed in this space is more innovators, more entrepreneurs taking up, solutions like this and developing models like this particularly, and deploy them within the rural areas to help ensure that electricity generation is ramped up. So the pay-as-you-go solar system can cut SME energy costs by nearly 50%, and businesses are going to really love that. And if you can now integrate things like mobile payment integration, you can create other revenue streams. All right. So through data analytics and energy management, just like I gave in the example with ICE commercial power. So this is just an idea, right, that entrepreneurs can adopt, and probably with more in-depth research, in-depth and nuanced research, depending on the area of the country that you're in, you can modify these systems to provide solutions to small businesses, to communities, and even non-profit organizations within your particular community or geographic location. Next, we have biomass and waste to energy, turning waste into wealth, right? 32 million tons of agricultural wastes are produced per year. That's a huge potential, and it's largely underutilized, right? So there are two primary opportunities that exist within this space, right? Biomass energy creation. Entrepreneurs can develop biomass plants that convert agricultural waste like cassava peels, rice husks into electricity, right? I mean, this requires a lot of research and development, so which is good, right? But what this does is that it supports the circular economy, and it also helps to reduce environmental waste. So it's almost like killing two birds with one stone, generating electricity on one hand, and then on the other hand, you're also reducing environmental waste. And then, we have waste to energy innovations. There's advanced biogas systems, are beginning to gain traction. They process organic waste into energy and still, help to reduce pollution. So an example is a company like Dan Wawo Group. They use livestock and farm waste to generate electricity. So they're also saving costs on their business because, I mean, the same waste that is produced in their farms is what they're using to generate electricity. So they're making a lot of cost savings. Now, I want to imagine entrepreneurs and innovators come thinking of ideas like this. So you're looking at businesses, looking at the waste that they produce, and you can begin to come up with innovative solutions on how those businesses can, leverage their waste to provide an alternative source of power for them, thereby helping them save the costs that they spend on, traditional power grids and all these other things. So that's also another renewable energy opportunity there as well. So I have given three sectors. So the third sector is on small hydropower and wind energy, right? As a country, there's an abounding amount of rivers, streams, and all of this could, I think the reports have it that it could generate around 3,500 megawatts of capacity. So river-run projects, which are ideal for remote communities, and all of that stuff. I mean, although these are a bit large scale, however, later in my slides, I'll talk more about ways that collaborations can ensure that these kinds of projects do come into place. Now, for places like northern states, wind speeds are around 45 miles per second, which is very suitable for wind energy systems. I wasn't too sure about for Cross River. I couldn't find data on Cross River, but I do know that up north in Obudu and all these other places which are very mountainous, right, there are comparable wind speeds or even higher. So, and those areas are usually largely inaccessible because of the terrain and all of that stuff. But that is a very vast opportunity that is largely untapped, and I think there's generally just a need for innovators to become more research driven. I know that there's a lot of technology out there, there's a lot of discovery out there that if we begin to look at them and adapt them to our environment, we would come up with amazing solutions. And I've also proposed the pay-as-you-go model, which could be a way to sort of like subsidize the costs for users. But I'll just give an example of a company that's also doing something around hydropower and wind energy, power box energy systems. They've been testing hybrid wind solar solutions to serve telecom towers and remote businesses, right? And this is how so you can see the relevance of these things, right? We need an increased internet connectivity across the nation. And oftentimes that means that we need to go and set up power stations in remote areas, okay, and all of that stuff. So, but that can be, to use traditional grid systems will be very expensive. But if entrepreneurs can come up with more innovative solutions, we can have telecom lines in the remotest of areas that are being powered by solar, wind, and all kinds of innovative renewable energy solutions without the upfront cost of building significant grid infrastructures. So, all right. So every opportunity needs funding, right? Regardless of the innovative solution you're trying to come up with, funding is very important. And yeah, I've outlined like 4 ways you can fund your green energy solutions, right? You have green bonds and carbon credits. I'm aware that so Lagos State government, for example, has a 25 billion naira green bond. So that's what they do is they provide debt financing. So that could be one of the opportunities you can leverage to fund your renewable energy products. There's also the Nigerian Sovereignty Investment Authority through Ripple. I think I'd mentioned that earlier. Other ways which are more private sector focused are grant and venture capital. A lot of grant and venture capital opportunities there. So investors are always looking for opportunities for innovative solutions with scale potential to invest in. Hello, can you hear me? I just noticed I got disconnected.
Okay, we can hear you now.
Yeah. So yeah, maybe who knows? The network could have been as a result of a energy failure somewhere. So I'll just bring up my conversation quickly, and I just have a few more slides, about 4 more slides, and we're done. Yeah, so I was talking about financing models or ways you can fund your innovations, right? So I mentioned green bonds and carbon credits. I talked about Lagos State's 25 billion in our green bond, which entrepreneurs can take advantage of. I also talked about the Nigerian Sovereign Investment Authority bond as an investment opportunity as well. Then other means, again, grant and venture capital investments are also another way you can fund your innovative solutions. I mean, investors, there's money to be given. Investors are looking for entrepreneurs who are innovative, who have ideas that can scale, and also make money of it. So if you meet those criteria, investment wouldn't be far away from you. I talked about blended finance models, which can mix equity, grants, loans, all of that stuff. So loans from banks mostly, or Bank of Industry, grants, from international NGOs or donors and funders, and the equity being from the venture capital. So you can mix all of that together as well. Then we also have, digital finance, all right? IoT enabled smart meters, which just basically means, in this instance, you're actually charging the users. So it's a way of bootstrapping your project, right? And introducing things like smart meters can allow the consumers to ensure that they pay only for what they use. At the same time, you're making money from your innovation. So like I say there, a pay-as-you-go solar startup, using grants for research and development, and then it gets venture capital for scaling that project, and then green bonds for long-term expansion. So this is just an example of the investment, the funding strategy for some solar or renewable energy innovation. Okay. So when it comes to the innovation, we're in the digital era, and we cannot ignore digital technology anymore, right? Digital transformation is no longer optional. It is necessary if we are going to ensure that we succeed in this renewable energy transition plan, right? And there are many ways you can integrate, digital technology. One of them is IoT, Internet of Things, to enable smart meters, real-time monitoring of energy consumption, fraud prevention, all of those kinds of things. It's really important because the whole essence of renewable energy is not to waste the energy resources we have available, but to use them efficiently. And IoT is one technology that can enable us to do that. Then we have AI and data analytics, which can allow us to, foster energy, to forecast energy demand, help to optimize, energy usage, and ultimately just improve the reliability of the energy infrastructures or solutions that we're building, identify potential failures before they happen, and all of that stuff. So IoT, AI and energy analytics. Then we also have blockchain, fintech for secure payments and investments. These are technologies that could be integrated into renewable energy solutions. For blockchain, for example, transparent, tamper-proof billing, peer-to-peer energy trading. People can share energy, share credits. Communities can be empowered to buy and sell electricity as a group. It also introduces the opportunities for decentralized ways to also fund, energy projects, and for startups to raise capital through things like tokenization. I don't want to go into details of all of that, but these are areas you can do deep research in, and they are currently being implemented in the world today. So yeah, for example, Swift Transact, uses AI-driven energy demand forecasting, right, to optimize their mini grid. So we want to they want to distribute energy as effectively and efficiently as possible, and AI will allow them to do that. So if they know a community or an area that demands more energy, then the system would autonomously and intelligently know to divert, more energy to that sector, and lesser energy to an area or community where much energy is not needed. So making it more efficient, so to speak. All right. So we still have a few slides left. So now, all of these things, everything I've said, it won't be possible without collaborations, right? Innovation thrives when entrepreneurs, policymakers, investors, industry players, they work together, right? And ecosystem collaboration is very key to, overcoming these regulatory changes, to unlocking funding opportunities, to accelerating adoption, and all of that. It's very, very important that the different stakeholders in the ecosystem collaborate together. So PPPs are very, very, very necessary especially for scaling, renewable energy projects, right? Government agencies can provide policy support and incentives. Startups bring investors. Startups provide the innovation. Investors bring the capital and technical expertise and all of that stuff. to expand off-grid solutions and the likes. Industry associations are also very important in this, and they need to come together to advocate for policies and even financing reforms and the likes. They will also have cross-sector collaborations, which is really where a lot of the use case innovations will be really thriving. So when you begin to start thinking about, okay, how I give an example of fintech and energy startups, how can they collaborate? What kind of solutions can they come up with? Agriculture and maybe, energy, healthcare, energy, all of these collaborations opens up the door for more innovative ideas, more innovative solutions to come up with. So an example of such a collaboration is the Solar Power Nigeria program. So it's a program between the REA and private sector partnership for 5 million solar connections. So these kinds of collaborations are very necessary if we really want to accelerate the transition of this transition into the green economy, basically. So second to the last slide, there are a few case studies that you can look out. You can check out the ICE commercial power and pay-as-you-go solar microgrids. Very interesting stuff that they're doing. They've been able to lower energy costs for SMEs by 40%. There's also Dan Wawo Group. I'm really excited about this one. Biomass energy from agricultural waste. We are a very strong agricultural nation. There's a lot of waste being produced. I think it's a massive opportunity there as well. So they've been able to impact the circular economy, reducing waste at the same time generating electricity. All right. Powerbox Energy, hybrid wind solar for telecom and industrial sites. Again, they are providing reliable power for off-grid locations. I'm looking for a time when networks won't go off because the national grid goes down. All right. So that will be very exciting. All right. So in conclusion, this is a call for entrepreneurs to innovate. Nigeria has a $12 billion renewable energy market by 2030. So there's a lot of opportunities out there for entrepreneurs. We need digital solutions, we need policy, we need financing tools, all of those things. They're in place. I mean, more effort needs to be done to ensure that a lot of people are adopting these things, are aware, and they're also adopting it as well. So your role is to, as an entrepreneur, as an innovator, is to build, is to innovate, and to invest in Nigeria's clean energy future. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Patrick, for your detailed presentation. I know everyone was able to take a smooth ride on the journey. We're going to take some reflections. We're going to take some questions. I see David Olarewaju has a question to ask. So David, over to you.
Okay. Good afternoon, Mr. Patrick Indifon. That was a very insightful section from you. So while you were going on with the presentation, so I just had some opinions that came to my head, right? So some of them I've been nursing them before, but in as much as I've not really been active in the energy sector, like when it comes to the electricity generation stream for a while. So I've not really had to discuss it with some of the people I have around me. So I'm just going to push some of them to you. So for your presentation, I saw you evaluated three major energy generation stream. One of them is the solar, the other one is biomass, and the last one is HEP. So I was looking at a state, right, because I was considering the intermittency of solar plants, right? So I'm now looking at a case where we are talking. I know you were talking about grid power transfer for solar grids, right? So maybe from solar farms via grids. So I was looking at a case, right? When we are considering this, right? I'm looking at an option of a combination stream. I don't really know how possible it is or how efficient it is, because that is actually going to play a very large part in adopting this. So a case where maybe you are generating, because we all should that solar, when it comes to solar energy generation, a bulk of it is more in the day. right? So at night it's more like you're generating nothing. So how about a combination stream? Whereabout I've seen a combination, though it's just in theory anyways, where there's like a downstream and an upstream pool, where there's also going to be energy transfer from the upstream, like, okay, the excess energy that is being generated from the sun in the day is going to be used to pump a fluid, most likely water, upstream. And during the night, when you are not generating enough when you're not generating from your solar panels, the water is going to run downstream with its own. It's going to run on gravity with its own energy, and it's going to drive some turbine, and there's going to be some energy generation. I don't really know how pragmatic it is, considering the energy losses, the energy requirement to pump, the size of the stream up and downstream that you're going to be building, the dam and all that. So I was just looking at, I was just thinking out loud. But thank God you were able to talk about the a combo for wind and solar, which is also very good. So that's just my question on that. So what do you think on that? Then also, I'm just going to throw all the questions out, right? So you were talking about when you were talking about the biomass, there was a part where on your side I was showing we have about 32 million tons of agricultural waste, I think is it per year. So I was looking at us converting that to energy. So one thing about me is I always think about the efficiency and how pragmatic something can be. So when we say we generate 32 million, I don't know the amount of energy you generate from maybe 1 ton, not to talk of 32 million tons, right? Then the thing is, if you are generating 32 million tons in Nigeria, where are we generating these 32 million tons? Is this something that we can bring together easily? So the plants can just be in one location instead of us saying, okay, there is one in Ikorodu in Lagos, there's another one in Abule Egba, there's another one in Abeokuta, you understand? So are we going to be building these plants in different locations? Is it really an efficient approach? So that's my question on the biomass. Then for the part where you're talking about HEP, I'm sorry I'm pushing everything out. But when we're talking about HEP, you said we have about 3,500 megawatts of untapped potential in Nigeria rivers, right? When I look at our own energy generation generally, when it comes to our grid energy generation, it's been wobbling at around, let's say, 3,500 to 5,000 if I'm being conservative, right? So when we say we have 3,500 megawatts of untapped, right? So if we say we want to go and tap these potentials, right, those rivers, are they really actually worth us actually having to build a HEP plant? Is it efficient? Does it really, I don't know, is it worthy of us going to? And even if it is worth it, let's say you want to build a small HEP plant for some of these rivers that generate large velocity, right? So what are the size turbines that you use? Is it really worth it? Instead of considering the other sources of electricity. The other area is more around accountability and government funding, because I see a bulk of data coming in, 25 billion, different big money and everything, right? So I don't know if we have, I know the government, they said they approve this, they talk about this. Is there really an accountability body that comes in and just be like, okay, this money is for this, and this is the money that is going to be spent on this? It's not like there's somebody that is going to be cutting from the top in different stages before the exact money that is meant for the project doesn't get to be used for the project. Thank you.
I think that's
All
a
right.
whole lot. That's a mouthful.
Yes. So I'll just do my best to answer each and every one of them, and really thank you for those questions. So I think one of the things I didn't really hammer on, but I said in passing, was there's a very significant need for research and development, and particularly capacity building in these areas, right? Because that's beyond just outside of beyond the renewable energy space alone, right? And across other sectors, we are lacking when it comes to capacity to innovate, right? There's need for a lot of capacity development for innovators, entrepreneurs to come up with efficient and effective solutions, right? So that's very important, and I'll get to that. So when you talk about accountability stuff, that's really, really necessary. Private sector, corporate social organizations, NGOs and the likes need to hold government accountable. I know that there are organizations like Budget, for example, that tracks government expenditures. So some individuals are taking the initiative to do that, but I think more effort needs to be done on a grander scale, where nonprofit organizations, etc., are tracking these fundings and ensuring that they go out to the right people, and if they are not, there can be reports and those kind of things to let the public be aware, if there are any misuse or whatever that is not in alignment with the green energy transition plan. Then regarding the hydropower, right? Is it worth it? Is it worth it? Well, I think it is, right? I think it is, because we are at a we have an energy crisis, okay, and we have all these are vast resources that is largely untapped, okay. So we can't say, oh, because there might be a potential challenge with infrastructure costs and all those kind of things, then we shouldn't do it, right? If the benefits outweigh the costs, then that's something that we need to jump into. And I also mentioned that, look, some of these projects, they do not need to be done alone, right? There's a need for ecosystem collaboration across investors, policymakers, entrepreneurs and innovators, all coming together to actually find the most optimal and efficient solution to drive projects within that areas, right? And so if that collaboration happens with in-depth research and development, with in-depth capacity building, I am very certain that we can come up with efficient solutions. I mean, we don't know what is possible until we try, all right? And with the right collaboration, people coming together, we can make that happen. As for the question around the what does 1 ton of agricultural waste produce, I mean, I from the source I have, about 30 liters of biogas. I really don't know what exactly that can do, but like 1 ton can produce 30 liters of biogas, which is methane. So you think, what can 1 liter do for a business or for an entrepreneur, right? So, but I think that probably I'll have to do more research, or you can also do more research to just find specifically what that translates to in terms of hours, minutes, and the likes. But I do know that and on the average, 1 ton can produce 30 liters of biogas. So that is a lot. If you ask me, 30 liters is a lot. As for the first question, so I was taking your questions back up. As for the first question, you had mentioned combining. So what I got was combining innovation. So if solar is not being used in the day, what can be able to have some kind of other system at night, so that there's energy waste and all of that. I mean, one of the solutions for energy waste is we have batteries, right? So there are battery systems where, I mean, you're trapping energy, you're obviously saving it in a battery, which, or that from that you can use that stored energy for other purposes. The stored energy can be used to drive other energy generation systems. So if you're gathering solar at night and you have some stored energy left in your battery, that battery can be used to maybe drive maybe hydropower systems, because I know that, I mean, high tide usually falls in the evening periods and those kind of things. So that could drive solar energy systems late in the night and all of that, and then the solar system can take over in the daytime. But again, this is largely all of this is largely still an innovation problem. So again, that's why I stressed on the need for research and development, the need for capacity building, because with that, innovators, entrepreneurs would be able to figure out what I say, holistic systems that can interchange from nighttime energy generation to energy preservation to daytime energy generation, and so forth and so on. It's largely an innovation challenge. And as more entrepreneurs get involved in this space, build capacity, do research and development, I think we can figure out more efficient and effective systems that we can develop to deliver such a solution. I hope that is able to answer and address your question.
Yes, so obviously it seems David is satisfied with the response. Thank you so much, Mr. Patrick. Madam Special Advisor is here today. However, I would like for her to not to say something yet until we listen to Mr. Jude Pius share his presentation. I don't know if Mr. Jude is here. I just want to know first before I start making preparations to bring him on board. Mr. Jude Pius, are you here? Uh-oh.
Hello.
Okay. Okay, great. Thank God. All right, sir. I just wanted to be sure that you are here on the call.
Yeah, I have been able to join halfway. I'm sorry for coming late. It's due to the disappointment and all of the
internet crisis.
Trying to connect.
Yeah.
Yes.
No
absolutely.
problem. You came in at the right time.
So I will just quickly run through few points. Basically.
Okay, but yeah, before I do that, I want to introduce you properly. I just wanted to be sure that you were present. So we're going to have a very more elaborate reflections later on. In fact, the reflections we're going to have today is going to be very, very elaborate. We'll reflect on what Mr. Jude is about to share and also what Patrick has shared earlier on. And then Madam Special Advisor will be given an opportunity to give her insights, drawing from some of the things that has been shared. But I'm going to introduce our next speaker, Mr. Jude Pius. Mr. Jude Pius is a consultant environmentalist and a global public health physician with expertise in tropical research as it pertains to global environmental sustainability through public health preventive measures against endemic and contagious tropical diseases as a result of outbreaks from amongst wildlife and surveillance approaches around the habitats and catchment communities. Indigenous peoples' inclusive participation, absolutely with regards to livelihood transformative, growth enhancement and sustainability, alternative conservation and protection of the ecosystem through public health, energy transitions, modeling with indigenous people, inclusive participation towards clean tech appliances, and currently is the Deputy Director, External Linkages Coordination at the University of Calabar Carbon Innovation Center, UCIC, Calabar, Cross River State, South-South Geopolitical Zone in Nigeria, and also part of the ECOWAS sub-region, regional hub. So it's my pleasure to invite Mr. Jude Pius, who is going to share a very, very important topic on driving policy. And later on, we're going to have reflections on the things Mr. Patrick has shared and the things Mr. Jude will be sharing with us. Mr. Jude, you are highly welcome, sir. Hello, Mr. Jude, can you hear me? Your microphone is on mute. He's been having internet troubles for, I think, since yesterday and earlier today. I hope that that won't pose a problem, today. Yeah, Mr. Jude, can you hear me? Your mic is still on mute. Uh-oh. We are having, I think...
Can you hear me now?
Oh, yes, very well, sir.
Hello.
Yes, we can hear you clearly.
Yes, I was asked to speak on formulating an action plan for renewable energy transition in Cross River State. Now, I I'm not going to dwell so much. We're all aware of the issues of climate change already. Now, the Cross River State as an entity, a subnational, have come up with quite a number of wonderful programs to key into the global trend of energy transition through renewable appliances. Indeed, the Commissioner for Power and Renewable Energy is very proactive. As I'm talking to you, a couple of days ago, they just commissioned one mini 44 kilowatts mini grid power renewable power station in Etome, in a local government area that is funded by the European Union. They call it Power Energy needs and baseline energy audit to conduct a thorough energy audit to understand current energy consumption patterns and identify areas of improvements. By that, the state as an entity and the government, through the commissioner, have severally that the state is very open. The government is not a good manager putting in place modalities that will foster investment from IC that is and build within the country and cooperation. From center, the center can strive how we will carry out what we ETP, knowledge-based transfer partnership. We already have a partnership with the University of Plymouth on livelihood sustainability through indigenous inclusive participation. We all know that one of the key areas or one of the major factors that is driving deforestation is poverty. And Cross River State historically has been known as houses one of the world's virgin tropical rainforest that is already threatened as a result of deforestation indiscriminately. And one of the measures taken vigorously by the center is to go down to the catchment communities and interface with the people by creating methods that will discourage them from further destroying or depleting the forest. By that, there are key components that the center is working on using the cocoa pod, rice husk to produce a brisket, which will, generate energy without necessarily pushing them further to look for firewood and all of that for energy sources. As I'm talking to you also, there is a generator that is at advanced stage through indigenous technology that the center is projecting for development that in turn will step down to train the catchment communities to produce it massively so that it will discourage continuous deforestation. Now, back to the state. We have identified demand, determined the specific energy demands of various sectors in residential, commercial, industry, and transportation. Measure the impact of renewable energy initiatives. And then number two, evaluate renewable energy options. Solar, assess the potential for solar energy, photovoltaic, solar thermal, based on solar irradiance, land availability, and grid infrastructure. Wind, evaluate the potential of wind energy onshore and offshore, considering wind resources, environmental impact, and grid connectivity. And you should know that we have three senatorial districts, the north, central, and south. And up the north, we have 5 local governments where the Obudu Ranch resort is located. The ranch has an ambient potential for investment in terms of both the mini hydro and that of the wind because of the high altitude. And currently, there's a mini hydro project that is to be taken by the EU and UNIDO joint finance program and the state, so that energy can be produced for the ranch to come into production, because it's viable for a lot of commercial activity that can transform the state industrially and internationally. The ranch has the capability for livestock production and can accommodate different breeds of cattle from across the world. And it has the potential also for honey processing, dairy production, and the cultivation of apples. And without energy, investment cannot thrive. So the demand for energy to foster sustainable industrialization has made it possible for the state, through the Ministry of Renewable Energy and Power, to come up with a policy document which the commissioner is pushing day and night to make sure that all the bureaucratic apparatus are reduced to the barest minimum for investment. Because once there's energy, it can transform a lot of economic activities across the catchment community. Now we look at hydro, assess the potential for hydro, like the Agbokun waterfall and the go to up the hill and the Kwafo. All of these things are potential components for hydropower generation. Then much is needed to be done through infrastructure, access roads, and mobility network, through which investor can go in and then take a look at the location, the demography, and the baseline survey of that environment, and look at what is required. Right now, the Kwafo, there are a lot of activities going on to revamp the place because it's a touristic center in the state. Also, we look at the geothermal, evaluate the potential for geothermal energy, considering geological condition and technological feasibility. As state, if you look at the topography of Cross River State, with barriers, we are surrounded by mountains and all of that. So all of these things are factors that you need to consider to go into energy development. Biomass also assess the potential for biomass energy, considering the resources, availability, environmental impact, and technological feasibility. Already we have oil palm plantation spread across the state. From the south here, we have the in Biase, and then Akanka, and then you have the Burom in Cross River Central in Buki. They are all components of biomass production. Then other options, considering other renewable energy technologies such as waves and tidal energy, depending on the location and resources. We also look at choose the renewable energy mix, prioritize, determine the most cost-effective and environmentally sound renewable energy sources and viability. This is key. Set targets, establish specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound smart targets for renewable energy penetration. And that is what the Commissioner for Commissioner for Renewable Energy and Power is doing. The time now is not to talk, it's to switch into action. What does the investor want to do? What are the areas in which requires government intervention? That is one of the introductory parts of the policy document. What do you want? What is expected of the state? Three other things, you have to drive the process. The state categorically make sure that the enabling environment is there in terms of security, safety, and then you go ahead. Also, the state government is trying to revamp the knowledge-based understanding of the catchment community where its viable potentials are located, to make sure that the community understands what it is and to cooperate through inclusive participation. So many programs are being initiated to engage them meaningfully so that they will see themselves as stakeholders in developmental initiatives. And we look at considering grid integration, evaluate the capacity of the existing grid to accommodate renewable energy sources and plan for necessary upgrade or expansion, like what I just mentioned in a comment. That energy, for the last 16 years, there's been no light in that community. And the amount of cocoa that is produced in that community is wonderful. Yet they don't have, without energy, you cannot drive sustainable industrial development. It's not about the cocoa production alone. There should be value chain. But with energy supply, there's a tendency of industrial development evolving, where chocolate and other components of the raw material cocoa can be produced. And once this is done, it's going to continuously have ripple effects on the economic development of the catchment areas through wealth creation and employment generation. We look at implement renewable energy strategy, policy and regulation, develop or refine policies and regulations to support renewable energy development, such as feed-in tariffs, renewable energy mandates, tax incentives, which is key to attract investment from across. Infrastructural development, invest in necessary infrastructure to support renewable energy generation and distribution, include grid upgrades, transmission lines, and storage facilities. Public awareness and education, raise public awareness about the benefits of renewable energy, and engage with stakeholders to build support for renewable energy initiatives, in which the center itself is doing by making sure that the community across these tropical rainforest bearing plants, like the national park in San Addis of Akanka and that of Okwango in Boki, where we have the endangered species of wildlife, they are meaningfully engaged, letting them know that if livelihood sustainability is being applied and they cooperate, this will go a long way to safeguard. And the purpose of safeguarding these natural resources is to increase development. Because when the forest is conserved and protected, it's going to replicate a lot of meaningful impact on the Catalan community. For instance, the Kwasiba gorilla, because of deforestation, the habitat is threatened. And that is what our sister states in the East African flank. Countries like Uganda are milking millions of dollars. And today, Uganda is classified as the pearl of a tourism in Africa. That is the Great Earth Habitat. And for you to get to Uganda and track a gorilla, each individual pays about $1,500. And that is revenue generation, which the collection transmits into transformation among the local inhabitants, because they are stakeholders in the conservation of the Great Earth. And here in Cross River State, we have the silver back-coated gorilla. It is very distinctive, the low-mountain gorilla. It is seriously threatened. So all of these measures are part of the initiative that will foster local content development and ecotourism, thereby promoting economic diversification and livelihood sustainability. We look at financing, secure funding for renewable energy projects through public and private sources, including grants, loans, and investments. Once the modalities are put in place, as the state government is pushing through the Ministry of Renewable Energy and Power, those infrastructural developments and other measures, if they are properly concretized, all of these things itself will attract investment through public-private partnership. Technology adoption, promote the adoption of energy efficiency technologies and renewable energy technologies across all sectors through continuous training, engagement, and awareness creation. Review and improve the strategy, regular monitoring, continuous monitoring the performance of renewable energy projects and track progress towards targets, which is key. That is why the mini solar to light in Etome is purely community inclusive. While handing over this project by the EU delegation, when the team came, it was stated clearly that it's a community project. By so doing, the assets will be properly guarded and protected because they see it as theirs and it's benefiting them, so nobody will want to truncate or destroy the infrastructure. We look at adapt and improve measures, regularly review and adapt the renewable energy strategy based on changing conditions, technological advancements, and lesson learned through collaboration. We look at stakeholders engagement, maintain ongoing engagement with stakeholders, including government agencies, businesses, communities, and environmental groups to ensure that renewable energy strategy is effective and sustainable. This is just a summary of what I have put together. And indeed, when all of these things are collective, it will help us to achieve results because it's something that we need to look at every day. Once the government in power and the stakeholders are determined by having the political will transparently, this target is achievable. The Obudu Cattle Ranch, for instance, is renowned globally. It's the center of attraction both for recreational tourism, research, and development. It has a whole lot. In the entire country, for instance, Nigeria as a nation spends so much to import apples, yet the ranch has the viability for apple cultivation at commercial base, which will empower not just the state as an entity, it becomes a source that will generate revenue to the national treasury and create wealth and alleviate poverty among the Catalan community. Because it's not just about the cultivation, it is about training and retraining of the local inhabitants. That is one of the things that promotes economic diversification, attracts investment in different areas of agriculture as it pertains to temperate tropical agricultural development. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Jude. Thank you so much for sharing that insight. And while you were speaking, some ideas were coming to my head. I think that happens to me every time someone is speaking. And I think we're heading somewhere. We've been able to, from all the sessions we've had for the past 3 days, I think we are gearing towards a very, very goal-oriented direction. So thank you so much for your time. I know how you struggled with internet to be able to have this presentation, and we deeply appreciate it. Thank you so much. We would really want to work with the Carbon Innovation Center in the near future, and some of the social entrepreneurs doing work in renewable energy. This 3-day event is like an opening. It's like to help us lay the ground and know what we are to accomplish at the end of the day. And the 3-day event has actually given us some strong ideas on what to do. So thank you so much. So it's like we're going to have a very long or very robust period of reflection. Mr. Jude, your mic is still on. I think some of the noise in the background is filtering in. Thank you so much. So I think we're going to give enough room for reflections. Madam Special Advisor was around. I think maybe the internet kicked her out. Hopefully during moment of reflection, she'll be able to come in. But I'm going to leave this opportunity for us to share our thoughts on the presentation we've had today from Mr. Patrick, from Mr. Jude, and also from previous participants. Today is the closing day. What has been your thoughts? What has been your ideas? What are your personal reflections from this entire session we've had around climate entrepreneurship and Nigeria's energy transition plan? If you have something to share, which I would love to hear, please, you could use the lift of hand emoji, and I will bring you forward to share your thoughts. Feel free to share your thoughts, to share your ideas. And the thing about this entire conversation we've had for the past 3 days is that this is happening at a very relevant time. Nigeria is really, really, really having a very tough time with increased energy costs. To think that by this time 2 years ago, the price of fuel was around 160, 170, and now we're looking at 1,000 naira. And of course, we know why that is, the removal of subsidy. The situation presents to us a two-edged sword. On one side, we have businesses that are terribly affected because of the high cost of energy demands in transportation, in electricity bill, and what have you. But on the other side, it presents to Nigerians a very, very important opportunity, or a very valid opportunity, to make a switch to renewable energy, because fossil energy is becoming outdated. And one of the things I said on Monday is that money is actually leaving fossil fuel. And if we're thinking about building new businesses, and we're considering building these businesses with renewable energy, and the cost it's going to save us in the long term, and the increased productivity we're going to experience, I mean, that's something really remarkable to consider, and that's why we're having this conversation on climate entrepreneurship and Nigeria's energy transition plan. Why it's important? Because this is so needed to drive development in our communities. Monday we had the opening monologue by Mr. Uzom Mbamalu, and he talked about the work he's done in Manamus Electric with building mini grids, mini solar grids for communities. And I know, the impact this has had on communities they've worked in, how it has helped, especially in the area of food security. Because, I was saying it the other time, we have how many cold rooms in Calabar? Calabar, that's the state capital. And these cold rooms are powered by diesel generators. Moments where there is a blackout, for, all those moments where our power grid collapses like 1 million times a year. I don't know. But those times when it collapses, it puts a strong burden on these storage businesses, and they have to burn diesel 24 hours. That's a lot of cost. So imagine having solar storages, solar powered storages, the impact that it's going to have on farmers or those in the market that have their perishable goods. So it's the same thing with other sectors, how renewable energy can help drive development in all of these sectors. I'm going to give Echo now an opportunity to say something. This is the closing. Okay, Madam Special Advisor is here. Thank you for showing up. But before you come up, this is reflection time. We have like 1 hour to just have general conversations. Echo now, Mr. David Effiong. I don't know if you have something to say in response to the entire conversation we've had. I know you handled the session on day 1. So I don't know, what are your thoughts? This is day 3. What are your personal reflections? Looks like Echo now is not with us. I hope your mic is not on mute.
Okay, so I was trying to unmute my mic. I don't know if you can hear me.
Okay, yeah, we can hear you now.
Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon. It's been an interesting 3 days, I tell you. Just like I ensuring that I attend these events from the start to the finish. And despite tight schedules, I'm happy that it's a dream come through for me, really. And to see that there have been conversations around opportunities in the climate entrepreneurship sector, climate change sector, and the caliber of people, the crop of amazing people who have been invited to share ideas on how to move the country forward. And I think one of the pivotal areas of our presentations here is the fact that we are not just making presentations, we're actually speaking to the problem and also using different instances of people who have spoken to this problem using their different startups, organizations, non-profits, community management programs and events, CSOs. In fact, when I listened to the Turkish woman yesterday, what's her name again?
Sultan.
Sultan, yeah. I mean, for the first time in my life, I know if we gave her a lot more time, we would have seen more calculations, right? It's just like when you are having a conversation with a psychologist. It's different if you're having a conversation with someone and the person says, "Hey, David, I don't like the way you talk. I think it's affecting my mental health or something like that." But if a psychologist is going to have that kind of complaint, the psychologist will go into detail and say, "David, I think you have
Hello, Mr. David. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I didn't know I was kicked out,
Oh, so
and
sorry.
I've as I've already said the juiciest part of the conversation
We
out
did not hear
offline.
it.
So I think it's important for us to know who are the experts in this field. And for me, Sultan stood out and a couple of other people because of how they really spoke to the problem. Just like I was trying to give an instance, the way you communicate with me as an expert psychologist will be quite different from anyone who just runs into me and begins to complain. You know, you are just complaining based off of feelings and bias. But the
Not
psychologist would
on details.
attend, yeah, the psychologist would go, I'm speaking this ideally, of course, would go in depth into the root cause of the problem. Okay, can we talk about this? And can we address it? I have handled this case before. You know, that's what Sultan did. She wasn't just talking about what happened in Turkey. And remember when I asked a question about how they were able to move from that kind of instability in the 70s to having a 50%, 40% growth and improvement. And she was able to respond to it. But before then, one could see in her presentations the whole, I mean, whoever thought that climate change and environmental factors will have all that algebraic and calculus looking figures on her screen. That's to tell you the depth of research that has gone into the quality of things that she's doing. And it's really commendable to see that most of our presenters here are actually people who are working in the field, and it's something I admire a lot. It's different from when you just go online and you're watching stuff about climate change and renewable energy and you feel okay, I'm good enough to talk about it. No, it's quite different. When you are working in the field, you have looked at the threats, just like I shared a short story of how it was for me a couple of years back, cut off from the rest of the world, being in a community where kidnappings happen often here and there, but we were really passionate about solving the water problem there. And so when we communicate to young people and tell them about these opportunities, I feel they would pay better attention. But most importantly and lastly, I would say most times we can do better if we have more people in the past to participate in this kind of conversation. Hopefully, in the nearest future, I look forward to everyone here and those who are not here, the speakers, the guests, to ask the question, Mr. Chibuzo, let's make this a bigger conference next time. Let's this time around, let's engage a lot more policymakers. Let's have conversations. Let's speak to the problem. Let's mention the things that we are doing. And I'm sure that the special advisor would even give us more things that Cross River State government is doing. We want to be hearing those kind of things. And most importantly, we want to also be hearing where can we all fit in? Where can the young people in Cross River State or in every part of the country, where can they fit in? Are there opportunities for them to fit in? Are there opportunities for them to volunteer? Because if we don't open up these opportunities, and even the speakers, if you know that there are opportunities in your industry or in your sector where young people can volunteer to know that these things exist, there's a possibility for solving the problem, speaking to the problem, they would go back to their community, introduce you to other solutions that you didn't even think existed. So I appreciate that the fact I've been here, and really the conversations have been welcoming and really instructive even for me. And thank you so much to all the people that have made this possible.
Thank you so much, Mr. David, for your personal reflections. And before I call on Madam Special Advisor UT Bassi Duke, the concluding session we have for today is tagged, "What is mine to do?" What is mine to do? So why did I call it that? It's an opportunity for us to sit back, introspect, and ask ourselves, okay, we've had these conversations. So what are we to do? I'm glad that those of us participating are not novices to this renewable energy talk. And it was intentional because I wanted it to be a focused group thing where we are speaking to people that are knowledgeable of the field and can share or give opinions. You were saying something about Sultan. Of course, Sultan is a senior energy expert. She's been that. I met Sultan in Kenya during the kickoff of program, and I remember a task we were given to do that particular day. So she was in my group, she and Dr. Sergi, and two other persons. No, she, Dr. Sergi, myself, and one other person. Yeah. And so we were in this lodge in Naivasha, beautiful lodge. There are giraffes and zebras everywhere. And we're given a task to just, a hypothetical task to convert the place to a 100% clean energy facility. But then we had to do our questioning, met with the manager, like this was real work this people gave us to do that day. We had to meet with the manager, ask questions, what's the generation of electricity for this place and all of that. So even yesterday when the conversation, we were having the session and someone talked about Kenya and geothermal. Kenya is very, very big on geothermal. We were able to see some of their facilities where they generate electricity using geothermal because we have a number of volcanoes there, and Kenya is a leading country in renewable energy in Africa, I would say, so they've gone really, really far in that area. So I remember us doing all of those, and Sultan did the mathematics, the calculation, because we needed to get the number of megawatts required to power that place for a year. And this lady went into mathematics mode and did the calculation. It was incredible. And we came out with a figure. And it was correct. It was just, we were able to tell them how much, we told the hotel, how much money they spend on energy for that entire lodge. And they looked at Sultan and they were like, it's something close to that. So I was glad when I spoke to her about having this, and she was very, very open and very supportive. Despite a lot of engagement she had, I really appreciate the fact that she really made time to be here. She's one person that if you say, okay, we want to do this energy, whatever project that would power this community, she would ask you for basic data, this, that. She'll do the math and she'll tell you how much energy is required to be generated for that community. So it was I had to share that story because it was quite an interesting experience. We laughed about it and we talked about it in our group. But that's nice. So I would like to call on Madam Special Advisor. There's someone whose microphone is not mute. I would appreciate it if you would mute your microphone, if your microphone is not mute. Thank you so much. Thank you. Yes. So I would love to call on Madam Special Advisor. She was here on the first day and she said a whole lot. I think she said a lot of things that even flew through our heads. It's like she would say this and you'll be like, wait. And then she says another thing and she says another thing. And it was just flying. Pew, pew, pew. And I think today it's like, let's catch our breath and let's put it on slow motion and let's capture some of the things that Cross River State government is doing around renewable energy and what she is, some of the things, the projects she has also led in the sphere of renewable energy. So, UT Bassi Duke, Madam Special Advisor, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Sorry I could not join yesterday. It was a very busy time for me. And so far I've heard a lot of things. And I think something that rang is the fact that with all this, for sustainability to really happen, we need to have policymakers, we need to have government driving in and have the buy-in of government. And also for you to leverage on things that governments are doing. So I'll be basically speaking, since they said I was too fast, I'll try and slow it down today. basically talk about what this administration is doing in terms of renewable, clean and renewable energy. So since His Excellency, that is Senator Prince Basi Idedotu, who is the governor of Cross River, began office, he has really been committed to one of the things is into climate and energy. And for him, he actually took, we know the transition plan that the Nigerian government has already laid out. So from there, he actually focused on first power, cooking, transportation, and then entrepreneurship. So under power, so this March, His Excellency brought about the rural electrification of Etung local government with solar energy. So now Etung local government has a mini grid that can power 2,500 houses. Yes, so now he has the plan to scale it up across the 18 local governments. Then also we have what we call the Green Economy Commission. So now what this commission is tasked to do is to regulate everything that has to do with the green economy, with climate, renewable energy. And one key thing that His Excellency appointed them to do was to develop an action plan on clean and renewable energy. So what this means is that we know an action plan, it talks about like activities that can be done to ensure that Cross River State really transitions into clean and renewable energy. And also there's going to be budgets to achieve that. So now this is a gap for you to, as social entrepreneurs, to key into this, to also say, okay, we have this idea that is going on and we can feed into this and we can get the buy-in and even the financial support of the government. So that is it. So, and in terms of cooking, right, so this year's February, His Excellency began the distribution of hundreds of smokeless cook stoves and wonder pots. So you can go and check online. So they were distributed mostly to women, rural women, and then people with restaurants. So the aim of this was just to reduce greenhouse emission during cooking. So I think that's basically. Then for transportation, so this same February, and the Cross River State Executive Council has approved the procurement of electric vehicles, that's motorcycles and tricycles. I know this is what brought a lot of questions. So now there's been an approval that Cross River State can pilot electric vehicles. So this is a very good opportunity also for you. So if you have, you can source for it or bid for contracts for this. It's also a good way. So also we had for entrepreneurship. So this is where we focus mainly for women, and which I have driven some projects. And the first is that we had a climate boot camp. So where we trained 50 women across the local government, women with disability. So basically what we wanted to do is to create awareness on, okay, this is what climate is about, this is what energy is about, and this is what you can benefit, this is how you can take action, because we need to start with the awareness before we even ask people to even get their buy-in. People have to understand, why does this exist? Why is it necessary for me to transition into renewable and clean energy? And also one other thing we are working on, which will benefit a lot of women entrepreneurs, is a public procurement affirmative policy. So now we know that, like I said it before, that government expenditure is mostly on public procurement, which makes about 50% of their expenditure. And I gave the example that Cross River State last year, their expenditure was about 180 billion. So now we are saying that 50%, based on statistics, right, 50% of that is spent on procurement. So now we want to get women to be able to also, especially cooperative women with cooperatives and other business women, to actually that are working in the area of renewable energy, to be able to bid for these contracts, to be able to bid for, is it a contract to purchase to supply solar panels, or to supply the cooking stoves or the wonder pot, things on renewable energy. So now that is where the affirmative policy comes in place. So now, but where are we on this process? So first, we are conducting a baseline research to see with the public procurement office to see, okay, what are the existing numbers? How many percentage of women generally are inside into public procurement for the state and in different sectors? So maybe we take the renewable sector, how many women are there? From there, we can suggest a percentage for women. So also something I wanted to say also is that we actually met with His Excellency to discuss about this public procurement policy, and he gave us the go ahead to start the process to conduct the baseline research. So also through our boot camp, like we can say, because like I said, because we want to have a build-up approach. We don't just want to start projects and leave. So women who we have built their capacity in the boot camp would now be able to go through the extensive trainings that we want to do for them to be able to bid for contracts in terms of renewable energy. So other initiatives we have had is also to involve. We know we have a lot of, in this part of our world, we have a lot of people who go into drying fishes to sell, to see how they can also transition from the regular one. I mean, if you go to the beach market on a Sunday, you'll see tons of fishes being roasted. So we want to see how can they transition from using the regular way of drying fishes to using more clean energy for it. So now, definitely, this it's not a smooth ride. We have been having a few challenges, and the first challenge is concerning the procurement, the public procurement. We know that, I don't know if you have gone through procurement or bidding for a contract, it can be so cumbersome, and a lot of women entrepreneurs don't have the capacity to bid for contracts because they don't have a lot of documents that are needed. So now this is where we have expertise here on this call for the past, since the first day to this last day, and it's an opportunity for you to explore that, okay, I can actually provide training for these women, help them get all their documents and everything. And also we need more awareness. So most times when you talk about renewable energy, everyone just thinks it's just solar. There's so much more to that. So we need spaces where we can create awareness to people who can actually drive this policy. Because when you talk about this, there's so much resistance, there's so much norms over the years that, oh, if we don't roast with firewood, it will not taste sweeter or something like that. So we need that. So for Cross River State to actually really transition into the renewable economy, we need strategic collaborations. We have had so many ideas and so many people doing a lot. And the fact is that as political leaders, we actually have the will to initiate projects. We have the drive, we have the policies, we can push for the policies, we can push for more sustainable ways. But the truth is that most times we are limited in terms of, like Echo was saying, in terms of research, in terms of data, in terms of technocrats. So we need that support, and that is why I'm really excited that I've been here to learn a lot, to see what we can do. On the first day, we're talking about how tariffs and tax affect a lot of entrepreneurs, so they are not able to come into the space. And we're looking at how, and I went back to explore, okay, now for places like Cross River, so we have multiple taxation. So how can we help to reduce taxation so that people can go into this business? So now, this think tank, and I'm sure that at the end we can all come together, would really, really help, especially, like I said, in the actual development of this action plan. We need that. We need everybody on board to give the ideas to see how we can capitalize on this energy. So I think that is all for now. So thank you. I'm really looking forward, especially for the people who are working in Cross River State, to see what we can actually do together. If you have ideas, and you have extensive data to prove why this is important, please open, and I will also share my contacts as I did, my email as I did. Please, any other questions you can ask on here. Thank you. Over to you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for time. One of the things we're going to do as follow-up as we are rounding off today, between today and the weekend, we're going to create a white paper document. I thought about it. Why is that? I would want Echo Now. I would want Hack 51. I would want Olumide. And I would want Madam Special Advisor to be part of this white paper document. It's like so the white paper document actually is an opportunity for us to give an executive summary of the problem that we want to tackle, especially the problem in Cross River State that we're looking to address, and how we want to address it using this think tank. And then each of our bios will be here. So it's like a coalition of different units, Echo Now, Hack 51, the Office of the Special Advisor, coming together to see how we can, provide support to this present government as it drives its operations towards the energy transition plan. I'm really impressed with the governor, with the things I've heard. I don't know, it's like he doesn't do a lot of press rounds. Is it because I don't watch CRBC? I don't know. Is it because maybe he does that on Arise News or channels? But I am really impressed hearing from you, and I also did my personal research on the work that has been done, and I'm really glad because it shows that it's possible to make a headway. So we're going to do a white paper document. I think we'll set up like a Google form. I have the template. I'll set up the templates. We'll be able to, share, fill it up, and then each of you would be able to put down your bio. And David, do you reside in Calabar? David Olarawaju, do you reside in Calabar?
I am in Lagos.
Okay, you're in Lagos. Okay, that may be challenging. Okay, so we would just create that document. So what's the white document going to be for? Next week, that document will be sent to the African Climate Foundation. That's like a summary of what we've done here. They will look at it. They will look at the parties involved. And then possibly another thing I'm going to do is to push for a Zoom call involving all of you. A Zoom call where we'll have the meeting with them and then talk and, see where it leads to. That's the goal. So the essence for these 3 days is not just to have some nice conversations. We're not just gisting because we don't have anything to do. It's just a forum for us to brainstorm. And I mean, it's been worthwhile hearing all of this. Of course, the conference doesn't have like hundreds and hundreds of people participating. The goal is just to have a focused group. Let's discuss on this. Let's discuss on what has already been accomplished in this state. And let's also consider what we can do, to drive change. And I think we have accomplished that. I don't know if there is any more reflections that we have. I don't know if anyone has any reflections to share or something to say. If you have something to say, please indicate using the lift of hand emoji. Use the lift of hand emoji and I will. Okay, yeah, Mr. Nameti, please, over to you.
Okay, I'm sure I can be heard, right?
Yes, loud and clear.
Okay, thank you so much, Mentor. I thank you to everyone who had spoken. First of all, I have 2 confessions to make. The first confession is that I wasn't able to join the session fully yesterday. I joined partially on Monday, but because of work, but I was able to join today. And with what I heard today, I want to say that this is something very commendable. The two speakers that spoke today spoke with a lot of data and a lot of information. For me, it was inspiring because it shows that there are people who are already championing this cause in their own spaces and are really passionate about them. The second confession is that I am impressed at how far the Cross River State government has gone with just like you said, with the renewable energy projects. The fact that they have gone the extra mile to not just say what they're going to do, but put it into action. Today we're talking about accelerating action, making sure that what we do. So that's very impressive, I must say. Very impressive.
Yeah.
I say in a quiet space, and I would love to learn more about renewable energy. So just chip in. The work we have done is in the area of waste management. In fact, for the past 4 years, we have a non-profit called Plastic Culture Nigeria that has been exploring avenues of best cultural bank in Akwa Ibom State. And just to say that this work we started about 4 years ago, but last year we got featured by the BBC. And that made me realize that sometimes the little things we do over time can attract attention.
Yeah.
It might not be related to what, just saying that there is also a relationship because they both talk about cleaning the environment, and talking about cleaning the environment, I heard something about air sensors in my research about renewable energy, air sensors. And throughout last year, I was trying to research for an institute or a university that is carrying out courses on air censorship. But it's surprising that just a few universities, I think I can point out University of Ilorin, that is actively, that has a department or an institute that is invested in creating knowledge or curating knowledge and transferring when it comes to air censorship, which is just about checking how much we can have clean air, because there are devices that check the amount of fossil fuels, carbon emissions, and all that in the air. So I think that is one area we should explore. The essay talked about, the essay and the guy that spoke before him, they talked about knowledge. Knowledge. And truth is an emerging area. Most of the, can you still hear me?
Okay, I can hear you now.
Okay, so,
yes.
So I was saying that since this area is not an area that there's a lot of focus on, there is not really a lot of institutes and programs that are focused on equipping people with the relevant knowledge. It's just like when tech came in, and we needed to have those schools that were able to offer tech related knowledge, and we used to go online to look for information, but now it's everywhere. So I think right now there's also need to identify those schools or maybe established institutes who will focus on equipping young people. We talked about volunteerism, young people, and even those who are interested, so that they can be equipped with the knowledge and this awareness. She talked about letting these women, to have knowledge. Knowledge is really key, and awareness. There are things you mentioned in some places, and people would wonder, what is this all about? So I think I would just chip in my voice to say that if we could include that in the documents, as one of the challenges that we could meet, that is establishing institutes, establishing schools, establishing maybe centers, climate or renewable energy centers that will focus on just this particular aspect of creating a clean, a safe, and a sustainable environment for all of us. Thank you so much for the work you are doing, and thank you to everyone who has found time to be here. I'm glad that I could join this.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mr. Nameti. Before I give the floor to Mr. Jude to say something, it's like, Madam Special Advisor, you have something to say in response to Mr. Nameti.
Okay, please. I just wanted to chip in something. So, we in Cross River State we have what we call a planning commission, and I'm sure all states in Nigeria have that. And these agencies are tasked with the entire planning of the whole state, right? So I think that's another hub to explore to ensure that maybe issues of climate and renewable energy are domiciled in those agencies. So when they are now planning, when they are now budgeting, it is included in their budget, because we might not necessarily have a maybe a ministry of climate or something. We don't really have that. But you see, when it's included in the planning of the state, the government is conscious about it. And you know that the planning commission is always by the executive governor. So I think that's something also we could explore to ensure more sustainable measure, because at the end of everything, fundings are not forever, but governments can actually drive sustainability through their planning, through how they execute their projects. So there's always a consideration, there's always a budget line for things like that. So that's just what I wanted to just say. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much for sharing that point. Mr. Jude Pius, you have something to share. Please go ahead.
Yes, a quick one. I just want to buttress on what Inameti just said. Please, the University of Calabar Carbon Innovation Center is a multidisciplinary research that came into being because of what possibility is known internationally. The British government specifically, when during COP26, frowned at the rate at which the state, which was the epic center that represents Nigeria in the conference of party in terms of as the secretary of the UNFCCC, it wasn't even Nigeria as a nation, it was possibility that covers the country as a sub-national when it comes to the mitigation, where Cross River was selected as a pivot center for carbon sequestration, or RED, because of its uh, 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 richness in terms of biodiversity, the UN RED. And so, when along the line the activities were not done properly, the G7 countries met from the Universities Network on Climate Change and said they want an independent center where policies and programs can be out of unnecessary interferences. That is how the Carbon Innovation Center came into being. So that white paper, let me tell you,
I can't hear him again.
Oh, Mr. Jude, we can't hear you. Uh-oh. Our internet connectivity is I don't know what to say. Yeah, Mr. Jude, can you hear us? We can't hear you. And he had something very important to say. Mr. Jude, for now we can't hear you, but I think we would check back to see if the connection is clear at your end. Olumide, you had your hands raised. Olumide, are you still with us? Okay, I think you're
Can you hear me now?
Okay, yes, we can.
Mr. Sugar, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Well, I actually cannot hear Can't hear you, boy. You're all fine. I will just quickly, where do you even start from? Like, based on the reflection, I think the last 3 days have been very interesting. I mean, inspiring and really eye-opening, honestly, on some fronts, honestly. Starting with the first day where we covered insights as regards how we can very well tap into opportunities that are available, especially when it comes to agriculture, food storage, and all. And then entering to the next day where I was able to also chip in my point as regards climate finance. I mean, climate finance is actually my major area. And I think we have so many opportunities in that regard. Particularly about how we can very well strengthen our institutions, available institutions, by domestically or locally sourcing for funds. In this age and period where people internationally are reviewing a lot of regards international funding and all, I think for us to enter into that stream of sustainability, it's quite crucial that as long as we're coming up with this, insight and initiative as regards projects and all, let's also come with initiative and insight as regards climate financing, but sourced locally. I mean, countries like China, countries like the United States, Canada, they've been doing some massive work regards that China today, most of the funds that go into their climate sustainability work is sourced domestically. So, and I think Africa, with Nigeria championing that cause, we can very well, get to that level as well. We just need to be serious about it. We need to be committed to it. And our government also should help us. I mean, the other day, I'm sorry I'm going this route. The other day, I saw African leaders requesting for increased finance, and I saw the news and I was like, when will our leaders really stop, begging, literally begging from these people, and when we have numerous opportunities here locally that can actually help us, bridge that gap, fund those, projects that we want. That's the truth. We have those people. We just need government coming in supporting. That's the truth because they have the power to support. Imagine government not bringing out policies or not backing up policies. There's little to nothing that we can do. So if government is interested in all of it, we can very well make these things happen. All right. So thank you very much for the opportunity, Mr. Chibuzo. Thank you very much to the government of Cross River State. I think what is ahead of us is quite interesting, and I would like to, enjoy us to always be part of this. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Olumide. Thank you for being part of this discussion we've had since Monday. Thank you. Mr. Ubong, you have your hands raised. I think Mr. Pius, I think he's still struggling to get in. So I think I'm even going to have a call with him because from tomorrow, the white paper document should be out. Let's draft something and we'll see how we begin. So yeah, Mr. Ubong.
Hello.
Yeah, we can hear you.
And everyone, Mr. Chibuzo, good afternoon. I want to say thank you for the opportunity. I really appreciate the opportunity. It's been very enlightening and eye-opener. For me, coming from a technical background, most of all these things that have been discussed rather as in there are things that I'm not even deeply aware of, but at least I used to have an overview from time to time of what's going on in the energy sector. Now, I have a question. I don't know if everyone to assist me. Now, I'm in the process of creating a startup, and I'm having a challenge to how I could get the major part of what we need to sustain that startup as active. The major part of it, you need bicycles. You need a large quantity of bicycles, like maybe 5,000 to 10,000 bicycles for a start. I don't know if Bella Africa. There's a company, I think it's based in Germany, Bella Africa, and they recycle bikes and give it to on the developing countries that their students maybe have challenges with getting to school or very poor homes that cannot pay for transportation. So I
something somehow in the line of that, but we are having this challenge. Me and my team, we're having a challenge of how do we get this right. The funding is not really there, but we are thinking maybe we could get a partnership. So I don't know if you have any ideas. I'll be so grateful. Thank you.
Have you been in touch with the organization?
Yes, I've been trying to communicate with some organizations that do things and stuff like that. I've tried to communicate with TPCACA. I've been searching for manufacturers in China, but very few of them are willing to take on new partners. Some of them are already saying they're already filled up with, they already have partners. What they want is they want cash. They don't want, they're not after partnerships or startups or funding or anything like
that. I think I would refer you to Echo Now. Echo Now. Maybe you may be able to say something to that effect, or you may be able to provide the necessary assistance they might need in that regard. So, Ms. Dubong, I would like you to contact Mr. David Effiong. He's the founder of Echo Now and Health Techies.
Okay.
Yeah, I think some way, somehow, he'll be able to provide the right advice or guidance on how to make that possible. Yeah. And I think the idea of having bicycles
I know Mr. Daniel.
Yeah, I think the idea of the bicycle project makes a whole lot of sense, considering that it will help support with transportation. We know that transportation now for students is quite expensive. And not only is it going to help with transportation, it is also going to help reduce emissions. So that's a brilliant idea. That's a brilliant idea. It's something we would look at after the call, and I would link you up with. I'll give you Mr. David Effiong's contact, so you could maybe message him on WhatsApp, and let's see how the conversation will go. Okay, Mr.
No problem.
Jude, I don't know if you are back. Okay, I don't know if you are back. I don't think it's back yet. It's okay. Yes, so I don't intend to take much of our time. I don't know if anybody else has something to say. But Carrie, please. I overlooked it. You're still here. I thought you had jumped out at some point. Would you like to share anything? Maybe ask a question, or maybe share your personal reflections.
Okay. Yes. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, Mr. Chibuzo. Can you hear me?
Oh, loud and clear, we can.
Okay, beautiful. Wow, it's really been something, Although I must say I have been very distracted and I haven't been able to completely pay enough attention to everything that was said, but I tried on Monday and I wasn't even able to join yesterday and today as well. I have been going through a lot of distractions, but I was able to gather a number of things, and it's really laudable what Cross River State government and everybody is doing about renewable energy, and it's also a sector I am actually quite how do I put it, interested in, in terms of how to really get enough power and energy to not only the commercial sector but also the private and individual sector. Over time, through the speakers of today, they keep talking about how, to power larger um, industries or places. But what about individuals? I don't know if anything has been done or said, because as I said, I was a lot distracted about how to use renewable energy on an individual basis. The way people, not only those that own businesses, but in their personal houses, the way solar is being used. Is there a way to also incorporate renewable energy, so like such as the biogas, right? Can it be used for um, individual houses and small scale businesses? Is there anything that is done about that? That's my question. To make it available to people, not just on a larger scale, but on a smaller scale. Thank you.
Thank you for bringing that up. I think amongst the renewables that we know of, which is solar, wind, biogas, hydrothermal, and other sources, the one that is very, very easy to harness for now, that is the easiest to harness, is solar. For biogas, I think it requires a lot of technicality um, to generate electricity from that. I think it requires a lot of technicality, and it is much more appropriate, let's say, for larger industry, manufacturing, production, like all those large industry, harnessing energy from that source. But in the meantime, what is very easy and has become slightly more affordable is solar. Hopefully, wind, we will be able to expand more in area of harnessing energy from wind and other fields. So for now, solar is what we're exploring, because to harness energy from biogas, I don't something to harness for homes for now. It's going to require a lot. It's much easier um, to have your solar panels to generate electricity for homes. For now, let's see how technology will evolve in this part of the world, and let's see how things will improve. Yeah, plastic cultured, you have your hands raised. Okay, I think you'll be the last person to say something before we call it a day.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Welcome.
Okay. My name is Ubong Matthew from Plastic Cultured. I couldn't change the name on Google Meet. I don't know why. But just to save time, I really appreciate any kind of gatherings like this that explores alternatives for sustainability. And I really want to commend everyone who has made this possible, especially you, Mr. Chibuzo, for leading the charge on this. Um, I want to remark first on the question about the bioenergy. Talking about renewable energy, it's not just always electricity. It could also be how you cook, like energy for cooking, or for any other purposes that you want to harness it and apply it for. So for bioenergy, I think yes, homes can actually have units that are designed even from crude methods using like a drum, as long as you have some activators like cow dung, things that are rich in methane. So your food waste can actually go into a biodigester that can help you produce methane. And the technology is not that complex anymore. It's almost free because you might do it at less cost, just the cost of the materials to build the holding the biodigester itself. So your food waste can go in there, and homes can actually apply this to help reduce their cooking gas bill. So and farms too, most farms can actually use it because you rely on kind of waste that can release methane when they decompose. So yes, there's a lot of work going on this, and homes, there are actually units that homes can acquire. So being a player in this field, like my colleague had said earlier, we have really explored the idea or concept of circular waste management, which I believe can also help to solve the issue of renewable energy. So I believe that we have to explore this more, especially when it comes to when we are dealing with like a large enabler like the government who can actually drive this. We've been driving this in Kwebon State for a while, but like there's a lot of blocks. So we would love to really explore that concept, because when we try to talk about the work we're doing in Kwebon, we refer to Cross River State or Calabar. In its past glory, was one of the cleanest states, and they have this legacy that sadly faded away. Hopefully, coming back on, where waste management was on the executive order, and the impact was felt. So I hope that this can be reaccessed. Hopefully, anyone in the space anyone in the circular waste management space, especially with single-use plastics and organics, the food waste and organic waste that can be converted into energy, that might want to look at collaborations or ideas or partnership or insights on how we can build a model. We've been building about how we can scale that model to actually deal with this issue of waste management in across River State. I think we would be open to really discussing that. But overall, I believe that when it comes to renewable energy, there is a lot of bearing on how we manage our waste. And if we're able to achieve that mass adoption of circular waste culture, I think it would really drive the kind of impact that we need. I commend the Cross River State government for championing this, Green Economy Commission, and also taking action on the smokeless stoves and the mini grids. I think this is the way of the future, and that's also a secular mindset that we need to really inculcate. So I think when we are trying to set up the white paper, I think this would be one of the key mentioned in the white paper to actually drive home that concept of circular waste, so that River State can actually be back on the forefront of leading this change in how people, especially the public, perceive waste, and how everyone plays to help us adopt this as a culture. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for that perspective you shared. That was quite brilliant. A whole lot has been said. I mean, I'm enjoying the entire conversation. And from the look of things, we may just continue sharing and sharing until the time is past. But I think we've come to a point where we can develop this white paper document. And like I said, for those of you interested in contributing to the white paper document, please, you can share on the group. If you're on this WhatsApp group, please indicate with your email. If you are not on the group, maybe you're in a different group entirely, do the same, indicate with your email, and I will contact you. But please also make sure that you have solid background around sustainability and renewable energy, either of them or both of them. Have some background. That would really, really help. So I'm a very transparent person when I'm doing things, and I try to make it plain. The reason why I wanted us to have this 3-day engagement is just to bring people who are thought leaders in the sustainability space, for us to gauge where we are at, and to drive the energy transition plan, what we can do, maybe set up an action plan. And the goal is to see how we can get the support of the Africa Climate Foundation. So I am part of a program called the Clean Energy Incubator Program. We're about 12 fellows from around the world. I'm the only one from Nigeria. I recognize that I do not have a very solid background in renewable energy, but I know what my skills are, and I know what I am good at. I can drive the conversation, I can mobilize. And I felt, okay, it's very important for me to not just sit back and speak English. Let's see how we can drive change, and let's see how we can get support. So I've been in touch with the Africa Climate Foundation, to see how those in this part of the country, particularly Cross River State is my primary focus, those who are driving work in the area of renewable energy, to see how they can get international support to do larger work in ensuring that Nigeria's energy transition plan is possible. And yeah, I called it a conference, but I wanted something more like a focused group of experts, people who can share ideas. And if you look at the program outline, which I shared, you would see that there is enough room for reflections, just for conversations and people to speak and talk. And I enjoy that aspect because it gives us opportunity to brainstorm and throw in ideas, which have been proven to be valid from the things we've heard. So now, after this question is what next? I am not usually those people who would hold a program. We've spoken a lot of English and said everything, and it ends there. There has to be a follow-up. And so that follow-up now is this white paper that I want us to design. Now, this white paper, what do I intend to do with it? We're going to contribute to this white paper collectively, and it will be submitted to the Africa Climate Foundation. They have their country director in Nigeria. I've been in touch with him. And then there is one of their staff who have been in touch. So the white paper is going to give them an opportunity to look at it and say, okay, this is a need that has been identified, and this is what this group intends to accomplish. And then with the white paper, they can say, okay, submit a proposal. What do you intend to accomplish in driving the energy transition plan? Then we can sit back, create a proposal, and then we see how they can support in making sure that this thing is actualized. So that's the ultimate goal entirely. And I'm glad that we've been able to accomplish something significant. This is going to be something we'll do periodically. Maybe this is March. We could have another one in June, possibly. But let's see how, when we create this white paper document, let's see how it goes. By the time we create a white paper document, one of the things I would also try to advocate for is a call, for us to have a call with them. I know I'm going to pick a select few to say, okay, to be part of the think tank. I'm definitely bringing on board Mr. Jude Pius of Carbon Innovation Hub. I'm bringing in Madam Special Advisor. I'm bringing in Olumide. I'm bringing in those of us that are Nigerians that have spoken. I can't bring in outsiders. Those of us that are here, that knows the terrain and who know the context of our experience here, would be part of that think tank, and we would put together that white paper. And then if they ask us, okay, we want to have a call and to have the people involved on that call, great, excellent. And then during the call, if they ask us to put together a proposal, that also will be excellent. So I'm glad that I have people that we can work together. I believe in collaborating. I believe in us joining forces together to make something happen, something meaningful happen. And I'm glad that Cross River already is a fertile ground to drive this change. Considering that renewable energy has immense propensity for economic growth. So thank you so much for your time. Offering 7.5 hours is not something I take for granted. So thank you so much. I would definitely keep you posted. So it's the end of our 3-day engagement, and we call it a wrap. Have a wonderful week ahead. Thank you to Echo Now for supporting this program. I mean, I remember thinking about it a month ago or 3 weeks ago, and I said I would like you guys to support, and they supported. Thank you, Dahel. As always, Dahel has always been wonderful with our online engagement, making sure that everything is properly set. So I will definitely keep us posted. Now, I know on this call we have people who joined, who have been part of our programs like the conflict management program. Yes. And there is an update, actually. We were to have a program in May, like an in-person program, which I was also considering to make hybrid. But I decided to move it from Uyo to Calabar. Sorry about that. I moved it from Uyo to Calabar. so that we have the US professor come have the program. But because of all this Donald Trump's thing, we've paused the program. We've paused it in the meantime because ECA is saying that all programs should be placed on pause. That's not the only program, that funded program that we won that has been put on pause. A number of them have been put on pause. But it's okay. Whenever we get a clear date to have it implemented, at least the program is in line with current US policy, so it's going to click through, but I'm not sure if it's still going to hold in May. But I'm going to definitely keep us updated on that, because that program is that organizational conflict management. Conflict management is my thing. I love renewable energy. It's great. It's awesome. I'm driving it, but at the base, at the core, conflict management is my thing, and I'm looking forward to that training. So anyway, let me not eat much of your time. Thank you so much for offering your time and being part of this online engagement, and see you soon. Bye-bye.